This is a KOAA News 5 special presentation.
It's an economy on the rise.
Whenever you have more money coming into an economy, you're going to have people spending more.
Full of opportunities.
There are open positions at home building companies, trade companies.
But this growth does not come without growing pains.
What we're trying to do there is provide just enough infrastructure to provide an acceptable level of service during the peak times.
It's still a challenge to find those folks, and for those folks sometimes to find that work.
Tonight, the ins and outs of our economy. What's behind the affordable housing crisis and the top jobs available? Growth and opportunity. The Colorado Springs economy starts right now.
Hello, I'm Diane Derby.
And I'm Rob Quirk. Colorado Springs is growing. It's happening fast, but that's a good thing for our city. But it can come with some growing pains.
Olympic City, USA is a popular destination for families and businesses looking for the perfect place to plant a seed for future success. Here are some quick facts on our economy. Around 329,000 people are employed in El Paso County, according to the latest census data. As of July, numbers from Labor and Statistics reveal the average hourly wage for all private sector employees in Colorado Springs is almost $35. El Paso County produces more than $42 billion worth of goods and services each year. This is known as the gross domestic product, or GDP.
And consider that the estimated gross domestic product, a full 40% of that comes from our military installations, aerospace industry, cybersecurity, and second and third tier employers tied to those industries. That's a huge piece of the economic pie. And with the decision to keep U.S. Space Command here permanently, the prospects for even more growth are even better.
To say the trajectory of the military defense and aerospace complex in the Pikes Peak region is straight up is an understatement. Perhaps no other location in the country can boast of what the military economy has meant to a particular region, and the sky's the limit for years to come.
This is the permanent home of Space Command.
Space-based defense in particular is key, highlighting the importance of the recent Space Command decision.
This matters. These are going to be the jobs that attract small businesses here. Those small businesses will attract more small businesses. These are the kinds of successes that lead to hundreds and thousands of more successes down the road.
And the numbers back it up, which show aerospace and defense gross regional product in the Pikes Peak region grew from just over $6 billion annually in 2007 to more than $10 billion last year. As for defense military-related job creation, equally impressive. While the national average in 2017 was just shy of 20,000, we had more than 50,000 jobs tied to this sector. It grew to more than 60,000 this year and is projected to top 65,000 in 4 years.
So military spouses are getting jobs right here in Colorado Springs, and that is empowering all of us around with that workforce as well. So it's just such a neat ecosystem to see with our defense industry, both the second and third order effects of the missions that are brought here.
A prime example of what defense and aerospace industry growth will look like in the future is here at Delta Solutions and Strategies in the Springs. Hundreds of workers, very competitive salaries, and a multi-million-dollar contract with U.S. Space Command. But what comes with that is competition for jobs, providing more competitive salaries, also providing for families of these employees, education, childcare, and do we have the market to train the next generation of aerospace employees? And when I spoke with Scott Annable, the Chief Operating Officer for Delta, he told me it's a good problem to have and that the market is adapting. He's confident expectations for his company and others will be met for his employers and their families.
What we're seeing out of UCCS and the other educational institutions we have here, there's an emphasis on space because they know that's an opportunity for those students. And of course the military services that we have and all the bases that we have with those folks that have the skill set and the experience that we can really utilize to support the mission is quite an advantage for us.
But there's no getting around the reality of living here, finding an affordable place to live. UCCS economics professor Joe Craig told me that while higher paying jobs is a good outcome for the defense and aerospace sectors moving forward, which should provide more competitive salaries overall, that will drive home prices even higher.
And those second and third tier jobs tied to the defense industry don't pay as well, so there will always be a wage gap. And despite more construction, affordable housing will remain a very serious concern. Overall, though, he concedes the upside of growth.
Whenever you have more money coming into an economy, you're going to have people spending more consumables, especially when you have high-income earners. They spend more of their salary on consumer goods, experiences, food, out, things like that, and that does trickle through the rest of the economy.
The Colorado Springs population is also growing. The U.S. Census Bureau estimates it now sits at more than 486,000 people. Of those people, around 54,000 of them are veterans. There are also as many women as there are men, with females making up 49.9% of the population. Almost 94% of people have a high school degree. 4 out of every 10 people have a bachelor's degree.
Over the next 30 years, the population in El Paso County is expected to grow to more than 1 million people. Right now, more than 740,000 people live here. That's according to the State Demography Office. So, what does that mean for the largest city in the county, Colorado Springs? Will there be more traffic? And what about the crime? Here's what I found out. Austin Bluffs and Academy is one of the busiest intersections in Colorado Springs. And if you hit it during the busiest times of the day between 4 and 6 p.m., you may have to wait for the lights to change twice before you get through.
You don't think it's bad if drivers are waiting for 2 cycles?
I don't think so, especially during the peak hours.
Todd Frisbee leads the traffic engineering department for the city. He says their goal is to limit delays at intersections to between 30 and 50 seconds.
What we're trying to do there is provide just enough infrastructure to provide an acceptable level of service during the peak times.
But does acceptable become intolerable as more and more people move to the city? Frisbee says not necessarily.
Because there's not land for that additional growth.
That growth, he says, instead is expanding east. And he says his department has a plan to help as it does. The money comes from an extension of the Pikes Peak Rural Transportation Authority's sales tax, approved in 2022.
Voters, as you know, approved the 1-cent sales tax. 55% of that goes to capital projects. And we have an A list of projects, and we'll use that funding over the next 10 years for those specific projects.
Frisbee says the plan for the next decade is focused on improving roads in 4 main areas. The Powers extension from Highway 83 to I-25, Old Ranch Road, Woodman Road east of Powers, and Mark Scheffel Road. And as the city expands and more people move here, many will wonder about the impact on crime. Earlier this year, the nonpartisan research organization Common Sense Institute released a report analyzing crime in Colorado Springs. They found between 2010 and 2022, the population increased by more than 17%, but the number of crimes went down by more than 9%, from more than 32,000 in 2010 to more than 29,000 in 2022.
What do you attribute that to?
We really came to the conclusion that it was their investment in law enforcement and the idea of holding people accountable for the things that they're doing.
Investment how? Co-author and former Denver District Attorney Mitch Morrissey says they found on average spending per resident by the Colorado Springs Police Department has increased by 72.9% since 2010.
That has helped Colorado Springs be one of the only cities in the state of Colorado driving their crime rate down. So yeah, their population is going up, but also their crime rate is going down because they are investing in law enforcement.
And if Colorado Springs Mayor Yemi Mobolade has his way, that investment will continue.
Very early into my administration, I have come out of the gate swinging and showing that support for law enforcement is really important, that we're going to tackle our slow response times. We're going to tackle the problem around retention and recruitment, and the new police training academy really helps to support those initiatives. So the community should expect those numbers to keep getting better.
We asked Mayor Mobolade if there are any budget cuts planned for police, but he says he doesn't know yet. He expects cuts will be made across the city because of a decrease in sales tax revenue during this economy. The budget will be presented to City Council on October 2nd. Coming up, more apartments are popping up in Colorado Springs. Just how many are being built and the areas we're seeing the most growth?
Plus, we answer what's behind the affordable housing crisis. We'll be right back with more of our News 5 special. Welcome back. You may have noticed there are a lot of apartments going up in our area.
So many, it creates questions about how many and who's going to live in all those units. Our Bill Folsom is looking into the numbers.
So welcome to Mosaica,
a new apartment community southeast of downtown Colorado Springs.
We didn't want it to look like any other apartment community here in Colorado Springs or basically anywhere.
Darcy Nicholson brings singular perspective to the apartment market in the region. 10 years ago, she and a partner built Blue Dot Place, the first new apartment complex in downtown Colorado Springs since the 60s. Now apartment builds are booming.
I couldn't predict what happened in downtown Colorado Springs. I'm thrilled about it.
The developers are responding to what they see as a need in our community.
Data from Pikes Peak Regional Building shows in the last 5 years there's been a noticeable rise in apartment building permits. In terms of units, nearly 3,900 in 2021. Then in 2022, close to 5,000. Steve Posey, the Chief Housing Officer for Colorado Springs, follows data like this to help ensure an ongoing healthy housing market.
We don't tell the developers where to put it, where to locate it. All we do is provide them demographic trends on what we're seeing.
Permits are slowing this year by about half. Still, from all that were issued in recent years, there are close to 9,500 apartment units in process.
The developers do their own market studies, and they're looking at the market and they're saying, oh, if I put up a building that's got 100-something apartments in it at this price, I have confidence that I'm going to be able to rent those apartments.
Some renters are people choosing to work remotely. Others find it more affordable to live here and commute to Denver. And there's been a trend of young adults who want the Colorado Springs combination of metro meets mountains.
Our median age here in Colorado Springs is now in the mid-30s. We are attracting younger individuals.
There's a lot of apartments coming on the market all at once right now. We've all seen it.
Nicholson says the competition can be good. Her strategy is uniquely designed, price-conscious apartments.
Do it our own way based on not what everybody else is doing, but really more based on what do we think that our residents, our customers need.
A few months of saturation are likely ahead. It could cause some rent rate competition. Nicholson says her apartments will fill, and so will others. In Colorado Springs, Bill Folsom, News 5.
If you want to build a house or an apartment building, it's going to take much more money. Dr. Stephen Byers, senior economist at the Common Sense Institute, says this is one of several factors driving the affordable housing crisis. We explain what those factors are and how the real estate and leasing market go hand in hand. There is a housing shortage in most of the Front Range. Data from the Common Sense Institute shows there was a housing deficit of up to 21,000 units in Colorado Springs last year. People still need a place to live, and that's driving up leasing and real estate prices. As a result, the affordability of purchasing a home in the Springs is at an all-time low. Since 2015, the cost of buying a home has doubled. The solution sounds easy: build more affordable housing. But builders want to make their money back. Current interest rates and building material prices are causing hesitation amongst investors. Research from the National Association of Home Builders shows home builder confidence has dropped 75% since 2020, leading many builders to create more luxury housing to make their money back, which is not necessarily affordable. But in order to keep up with the population growth, up to 39,000 housing units will need to be built in the next 5 years. The city of Colorado Springs is making progress, approving almost 5,500 building permits last year. Data suggests if this is sustained, it may be enough to close the gap by 2028. But the question then becomes, just how affordable will this new housing be? Welcome back. In the last year, several companies have announced they are planning their routes here in Colorado Springs.
Now, they promise thousands of higher-paying jobs, but there's a problem. How are they going to find the workers they need in a city already experiencing a labor shortage? Our Devin Karp explains what they're doing to attract future employees.
So we need to kind of look at how we grow an ecosystem of talented employees within Colorado Springs.
Colorado Springs Hispanic Chamber President Joe Aldaz is optimistic about the economic growth in our city, but concerned about how these companies are going to attract the highly skilled workforce they need.
Had some big wins here for this community, but we're going to have a challenge of developing the pipeline of the workforce with those that are qualified to take these high salary type positions.
In the last 20 months, we've seen 15 new projects coming to town, bringing almost 3,000 direct jobs and 5,000 indirect jobs.
We're still maintaining at about a 3% unemployment rate.
Staff with the Colorado Springs Chamber and EDC says in the second quarter of 2023, there were more than 11,000 unique job postings in our area. But with only 10,500 unemployed workers, that's not enough people to fill those jobs.
You know, it continues to be a national issue with talent development.
So while other companies are struggling to hire workers, yours is actually growing?
You know, we're over 600 people on our way to 700 people in the Colorado Springs area.
Kratos is an aerospace cybersecurity company that's been taking advantage of Hello Colorado Springs, a talent acquisition program connecting young professionals with each other and the culture of Colorado Springs through exploring the town.
So that program is geared or targeted towards people entering into the workforce.
Along with K-12 programs helping students get technical certifications and trade schools offering more classes, Kratos and the Chamber both agree the city's unique location and environment should drive workers to the Springs.
I'm going to say the dynamic nature of the market attracts the younger workforce.
Devin Karp, News 5.
The average wage in Colorado Springs has steadily been on the rise since the pandemic. As of July, the average wage for private sector employees, $34.76. It went up $4 from $30.77 a year ago. A local economist attributes this wage growth to record-breaking inflation, forcing businesses to pay more to attract and retain employees. But this wage growth is expected to start leveling off.
In the last few months, we've seen inflation's come down. Wage growth has also come down, but inflation came down faster. So now wage growth is faster than inflation. So people's paychecks, or the amount of purchasing power you get from your paycheck, is starting to go up rather than go down.
The average wage is about $4 more in Denver. Dr. Craighead says that's because the city has a higher cost of living than Colorado Springs. And data also reveals more people have college degrees in Denver than here in the Springs.
There are job openings in almost every industry in Colorado Springs. Many of them do not require a college degree.
Our Eleanor Sheehan shares with us what these jobs are and how much they pay.
Looking for a job in construction or manufacturing? According to data provided by the Pikes Peak Workforce Center, these blue-collar jobs are in hot demand. From May through July of this year, the top 5 job postings in construction were electricians, heating and air conditioning mechanics, carpenters, plumbers, and painters.
There are open positions at home building companies, trade companies.
In manufacturing, there were 159 job postings for welders and 65 jobs for machinists. Altogether, more than 2,000 of these jobs were posted during those 3 months. But the president of the Housing and Building Association, Mark Rayner, says there's actually even more jobs available. This is because most of the time construction work is not posted online.
A lot of it is word of mouth. It's who people know. It's working in their network. It's being on the job sites.
Rayner has years of experience working in and around construction and owns Weatherby Drywall in Colorado Springs. Rayner admits the industry could do a better job posting their open positions online.
But it's still a challenge to find those folks, and for those folks sometimes to find that work.
The CEO of the Pikes Peak Workforce Center, Tracy Marquis, says it's important to have growth opportunities for employees.
How do you invest in them? It doesn't mean it has to be a big pay raise, but maybe there's professional development you can send them to, or an online course that they can do, and you can have a longer lunch to be able to complete the online course. It's that type that really talks about the job quality and really helps the businesses find the talent they need, really by looking within and what can you do to reskill your existing workforce.
Workforce data shows the top 5 jobs available in El Paso and Teller counties from 2022 to 2023 that don't require a college degree are home health personal care aides, restaurant cooks, material movers, stock and order fillers, and fast food workers. These occupations are the fastest growing jobs in the Pikes Peak region over the last year.
It's either hourly pay. Usually it's much better than you see in kind of service industry and hospitality and that kind of stuff, and retail.
Rayner says typically an entry-level employee makes around $20 or $30 an hour for these types of jobs.
So you're making money while you're learning versus paying a lot of money to go learn something you might not use.
Rayner encourages people to reach out to the Housing and Building Association if they're interested in learning about a career in construction. Reporting in Colorado Springs, Eleanor Sheehan, News 5.
We'll be right back with more of this special presentation. Welcome back. Before we leave you, we asked Colorado Springs Mayor Yemi Mobolade, what does the growing Colorado Springs economy mean for you?
Here's what he had to say.
Friends, the future of Colorado Springs is bright. As our economy grows, expect to see more high-paying jobs and more opportunities for you and your family. We want to grow in a way that is smart and best serves the more than 500,000 people who live here. To do that, we're actively building support within all levels of government, and we are engaging the community in the decision-making process, and we are tackling pressing issues in public safety, infrastructure, and housing. Onward and upward.
Thanks, Mayor. We're now at the conclusion of our special presentation.
All of the stories that aired in this special can be found on our website. You can also rewatch this special on the KOAA streaming app on your Android and Apple devices, as well as Roku and Amazon TV.
That'll do it for our special presentation, Growth and Opportunity, the Colorado Springs Economy. Have a good night.